It was February 28, 2026, and the Los Angeles Lakers walked into their game against the Golden State Warriors already bleeding, already broken, already 3 losses deep into a spiral that nobody inside that locker room wanted to acknowledge out loud, but every single one of them could feel crawling up their spine. The Lakers had lost 5 of their last 7 games heading into that Warriors matchup, and anyone who tells you pressure doesn't build inside a professional locker room during a stretch like that has never been in one, because it doesn't just build, it festers, it mutates, it turns grown men into ticking grenades waiting for the exact wrong moment to go off. Late in the first quarter, with just 56 seconds left on the clock, Luka Dončić committed 2 consecutive defensive lapses, first letting a Warriors rookie get a putback, then allowing Anthony Melton to knock down a completely uncontested, wide-open three-pointer that should have never, under any circumstances, been that open in an NBA game. JJ Redick had seen enough, and he waved LeBron James in to replace Luka, but Luka signaled he wanted to stay on the floor, signaled he wanted to finish the quarter, and Redick overruled him. And that single decision, that moment of authority from a first-year coach to one of the most talented players on the planet, is where everything went completely sideways. As Luka walked toward the bench, Redick reached out to grab his arm or offer some kind of gesture, maybe a fist bump, something meant to communicate that this wasn't personal, and Luka shrugged it off, brushed the hand away, kept walking with his eyes forward and his jaw tight, without so much as a single sideways glance at his head coach, like Redick wasn't even standing there. Redick, a man who had never coached a single NBA game before this season, did something that most veteran coaches with 20 years of experience would never have the guts to do. He followed Luka directly down the sideline, pursued him all the way to the bench, and confronted him face to face in front of the entire arena and every camera in the building. A professional lip reader widely cited across major outlets broke down the exchange frame by frame. Redick, standing over a seated Luka, apparently said, "What's your problem?" And then, "You pushed my hand away, what are you so upset about?" And Luka looked up and said 2 words, "I didn't." And then Redick told his franchise star, verbatim, to sit down, and Luka shot back, "What, yo?" And then Luka stood up. The reason that moment didn't explode into something far worse has a name. Jared Vanderbilt stood up immediately, positioned his body between Luka and the path toward Redick, and instead of grabbing or screaming, he started clapping and cheering and celebrating like nothing was happening, while his body acted as a wall and his hand gently pulled Luka back down into his seat before this became a full-blown public meltdown. 4 days before that Warriors game, Luka had stood in front of reporters after a 111-89 blowout loss to the Boston Celtics and said publicly, without any sugarcoating, that the chemistry between himself and LeBron James and Austin Reeves simply was not there yet, and the numbers backed him up in the most uncomfortable way imaginable. When all 3 stars shared the floor together, the offensive rating hovered around 109 to 111, which is bottom of the barrel by NBA standards. But when LeBron came off and Luka and Reeves ran the show with low-usage role players, the net rating exploded to a plus 14.7. The record climbed to 10-2, and the offense flowed like it was a completely different team wearing the same uniforms. The Lakers were statistically a significantly better basketball team when the greatest player of this generation was not on the floor, and that uncomfortable truth was sitting beneath every viral clip and every heated sideline moment and every tense post-game press conference like a live grenade that nobody wanted to touch but nobody could ignore. Against the Orlando Magic on February 25th, with 6.7 seconds on the clock and the Lakers down 1 point, the play was drawn up for Luka. LeBron inbounded from the baseline, Luka came off clean on the left wing beyond the arc, he was open, he had the look, and then he hesitated, took 1 dribble closer, picked up his dribble, got trapped by a double team, swung it to LeBron, who launched a contested 27-foot fadeaway at the buzzer that missed, and then LeBron told reporters, "I thought he had a good look," and those 5 words set the entire basketball internet on fire. What fans heard was not a measured breakdown of a busted play. What fans heard was a 41-year-old legend publicly telling the world that his younger co-star had the shot and choked. And when Luka was asked directly if he and LeBron had spoken about it after the game, his answer was a flat, unambiguous no, which meant the greatest player of his generation had publicly analyzed his teammate's mistake on camera and then apparently walked right past him without saying a single word. On March 11th, pregame media availability before the Lakers faced the Minnesota Timberwolves, with LeBron sidelined by injuries, Redick stood at that microphone and said what no head coach is supposed to say out loud, that there is a clear pecking order when Luka and Austin Reeves are on the floor with low-usage players, that the offense runs cleaner, that the hierarchy is obvious, and that the human element of three ball-dominant stars all wanting the rock at the same time was the core problem dragging this team down. And then something happened that nobody saw coming. After a 142-130 demolition of the Chicago Bulls on March 13th, where Luka scored 51 points and Reeves scored 30, and LeBron played a quiet, selfless, deliberately passive role without attempting a single field goal in the first quarter, Luka Dončić walked up to reporters completely unprompted and said they needed to get LeBron more shots and keep him more involved on offense. And in that single sentence from the man who is the present and future of this franchise, every narrative about this team imploding collapsed into dust.